Hello, in this video from jonesgear.com we'll configure an ASICMiner Cube to hash using Slush's Bitcoin mining pool. The most complex part of this setup is understanding the need for a proxy. These cubes communicate via the GetWork protocol. Unfortunately, most pools today do not directly support GetWork. Because of this, we need to tunnel all of the cube's traffic through a proxy server. In this video, we'll show you how to configure the cube to connect to both a local and cloud-based Stratum proxy. To start, let's review the cube's configuration page. You'll see that I've already changed the default IP address for this cube to get it working on my network. We covered that part of the configuration in the initial cube setup video. So, on this page, the top section, we see a reference to every chip on the cube. An O means the chip is functioning properly, and X would mean that the chip is not functioning properly. The next section shows the hash rate of every chip. It'll range between 0 and 600, or approximately 600. Down here you can see the hash rate of the total cube. That should peak out at about 30 gigahash or 30,000 megahash at a standard clock rate, or 38 gigahash overclocked. Down here shows the current pool configuration, what mode we use for failing over to a secondary pool, current clock rate, as well as some log pooling information. We have the default IP configuration, and then down here we have pool settings. You'll see it's configurations for two pools separated by a comma. Those items to the left will be the settings to connect to your primary pool, and those to the right will be the secondary pool. The buttons at the bottom, first there's refresh, which just refreshes the web page. Pool switches between the primary and secondary pool. Mode switches between the method that the cube uses to decide when to fail over to the secondary. By default, it's primary and backup. You can also set it up so that it balances workload. Clock will configure the overclock if you desire it. By default, these pull about 200 watts. You can overclock them to 280 watts to get the full hash rate. And then update restart will restart the cube. Alright, so to get started, let's create a mining account on Slush's pool. The URL is mining.bitcoin.cz. Stick in a username you're interested in. There we go. See, I haven't done any hashing, and I have a default worker here. We're going to go ahead and copy this password over to my notes and the worker name. Alright, so now we have a worker and password set up. Next, we need to talk about the proxy. On a Windows machine, most straightforward way to get a proxy is to Google for Stratum proxy. The first link gets you back to Slush's page where you can download his Stratum proxy. Once that's finished downloading, I'll drag it to my desktop. By default, this proxy is set up to communicate directly with Slush's pool. If you're using another pool, there are command line options you can use. You can contact us for details about setting those up. So all you need to do is start the proxy, and you're good to go. You may need to authorize the machine to open up the firewall. So from there, we need to grab the IP address of the proxy machine. This one is 192.168.0.80. We'll make a note of that as well. The default port that this proxy communicates on is 8332. And And so that is all the details we need for our local proxy. Now let's talk about the cloud-based proxy. From this link, you can see that a kind soul has set up a cloud-based proxy. It's currently free. It's up temporarily currently as he betas it, but it's working really well for our purposes. Right now, we're going to go ahead and grab the East Coast URL. Pick a port from Slush's pool. I'll grab 8902, and the user and pass will be the same. Alright, let's head back to the pool configuration. So down here, we're going to set up the local proxy running on my Windows machine as the primary, and then the cloud-based proxy as the secondary. So 8332 was the primary, with 8902 as a secondary. As far as IPs, we saw that it was 0.80 as the primary, with East Coast with this URL as the secondary. And then as far as miners, it's the same username and password. And here we see it's worker name : password. So we'll go ahead and grab that, comma, worker name, password. Click update. I like to give it a minute and then go back to the main page. From here, there are two things we should see. First, we should see the machine start hashing. Second, if you switch over to your mining proxy, you should see work start to stream through. Hasn't happened yet because it's still going. Alright. So here we see hashing starting to pick up. It's currently communicating to East Coast BTC cloudup.net. If we click pools, we can switch it to the local proxy and see that it starts to pick up there. And if we switch back to the proxy, we can see a lot of work coming through. So right now we have this set up talking to the local proxy first with the cloud proxy secondary. I'm running it as a primary backup, so if the local one fails, it'll fail over to the secondary. I choose to do that because the cloud-based proxy doesn't always give the best efficiency. I tend to peak out around 85 to 90% efficiency on the cloud-based, but a local proxy will get up to 95 to 100% efficiency, maximizing our gigahash. You needn't run a backup like this if you want to just run a local or a cloud-based proxy. Just put in the same settings in the first and second fields, and you'll be good to go. Hope this helps. If you have any questions, send mail to support@jonesgear.com. Have a good day.